It's been a dramatic run for the US economy since 2008, but what about for the future? With us is Ho.Mr Ho. He's the Regional Director for the Americas for the Hong Kong TDC. Louis, first of all, let's ask you about what your impression is overall, generally. Do you have an optimistic outlook for the US economy?
Definitely, Martin. From where we sit, we are seeing a lot of upbeat forecasts. Buyers are coming back to Hong Kong. Major retailers, major importers are sending their buyers back to the Hong Kong market. And this is reflected in our trade show figures. Buyers coming into our trade shows have been growing at 20% rate since 2009.
So when we're looking at Hong Kong suppliers, we're talking about electronics, we're talking about fashion, we're talking about textiles, all the traditional areas that we usually have where it comes to exporting to the US.
We are seeing a jump in all across the board. All the merchandise that Hong Kong is so good at, from, like you said, electronics. Electronics in particular with the 3D applications. The 3D TVs, 3D glasses, are all receiving very prominent attention. Recently, JVCs are in Hong Kong attending our trade shows, and then they wanted to import tremendous numbers of 3D glasses.
So Louis, you live in New York. So what do you see people actually buying there in the big retail stores? Do you see them buying value type stuff, in other words, low end or high end?
Well, from New York, definitely, we're seeing a lot of spending in the higher end merchandise. You see customers going to Bloomingdale's, going into Saks Fifth Avenue, all these upscale department stores and coming out with shopping bags. That's a very good sign. However, as you move across the country, you go into the less affluent areas that have been impacted more with the recession, then the value-added items are doing quite well. The essentials, the basics are doing well. So from Hong Kong, as long as we're able to provide value for money merchandise, Hong Kong will do well.
There is the US property market that underwent a considerable drop in 2008, 2009. But what about today and in the future?
Martin, that's definitely the dark clouds in the horizons. But I think with the experience that the government has, or the banking industries have over the last 2 years, I think they will quite adequately deal with that issue if it should come to the floor.
And of course, if you're talking property, you're talking about interior design, you're perhaps talking about things for the kitchen, things for the bedroom and bathroom.
So Home Depot, for example, has been reporting again very good earning results. Another chain, Lowe's Hardware, is doing well as well. So we're seeing a lot of those people purchasing home improvement gadgets for their homes.
So how is Hong Kong really seen as a sourcing center there in the United States?
Hong Kong is the place for those who know how to do business in Asia. And our message to those that are wanting to come into Asia is that you have to come through Hong Kong if you are to source value merchandise. We spoke with many of those who have been in this business, and they continue to come through Hong Kong even though they are now establishing their own sourcing centers in China, but they still work through the Hong Kong agents. That's what we are seeing.
Louis, you also take care of Latin America, Central America and Canada. So what about those markets more broadly? Are you optimistic about those?
US is definitely, North America is definitely experiencing, we would forecast probably maybe a 2.73% GDP growth for next year. But for Latin America, we are very, very upbeat. Our trade programs for the next 3 years will be very active. We have a whole range of promotional projects from Mexico to Chile to Sao Paulo in Brazil. We'll be expanding into Peru. We're going into Colombia. It's all throughout. We have outreach programs. We will be bringing Hong Kong delegates. We will be having our showcase display. We'll be having our publicity booth, the whole range. So we're very, very pro Latin America.